So yeah, it's May and I'm a May baby. I'm not feeling overly creative at the moment. You'd think I'd be full of joy and happiness being a spring baby, but no. You know me, I love my florals. I love flowers in real life as well, so it's just as the title says, it's just flowers that kind of represent May. And we do tend to get a lot of the heavy scented flowers and pretty little flowers come through as you sort of head towards summer, don't we? Not that you could tell that summer's bloody freezing. So yeah, I thought I'd go for it. Now missing from this list is because no, look at them, they're there, you can just about see them, but no real perfumes have managed to capture these. Oh, gorgeous bluebells, which is about the only good thing about this stinking rotten island that I live on. And I think they only grow here our particular type of bluebell, so it is pretty special. They don't last long, they'll be gone within a week or two, but they're not in there. Well, I thought I'd maybe honourably mention them because they're special. They do smell really, really good. They smell quite similar to wisteria, which is in here, and hyacinth. They have a certain kind of link to them. And it's illegal to pick them here, but yeah, this is me waffling on. I'll just crack on with the video. They're just generally flowers that bloom and blossom through May, which is, you know, when the darker colours, the blues and the purples and all of that start to shine through. So yeah, we'll get started. Now first up on the list is Lily of the Valley, which is supposedly the kind of flower of May. You know, the birth flower and all that jazz, or muguet as they're called, aren't they? I've never really seen any in the wild here, can't lie, and I've never really, obviously I've never smelt a real one. They're in wedding bouquets and stuff, aren't they? They're kind of like little bells, aren't they? Not quite like bluebells. They probably have some myth about them as well. Were these something to do with some Greek god's breast milk falling to earth and it sprouted lily of the valleys or muguets? But anyway, they kind of, to me, in fragrance, smell a little bit green, and a little bit, they can be a little bit soapy and very white floral as well as with that little green tinge. It's a really nice kind of reassuring fragrance note in a way, isn't it? And it's sadly is one of them notes that's died out a bit because it was considered, I suppose, old-fashioned. I don't think that at all. I think it's lovely. So you don't see it much nowadays in fragrance, do you? But the one I've gone for is Amouage's Goldman. Now this one it's kind of a bit of an ode to Chanel No. 5. And it does have that kind of old vibrance of that. It's aldehydic. It's got the little lovely dirty edge in there, some castoreum and whatnot in the base, which warms it up. But the primary note of it, like with Chanel No. 5, is the Lily of the Valley. And again, it mixes with the aldehydes to give the kind of the almost soapiness about it, but it does have that little green edge to it. It's absolutely delightful. It's an incredible fragrance, and because it's Amouage, it has so much opulence and richness to it, and there is a little touch of resins in the base, and you can sometimes get a little something you think might be incensey. It's just magnificent. I think gold is a really good name for it. It doesn't smell gold, but because of that opulence and everything, it was in a gold bottle on it or something. And this all smells of wild garlic now, as you can see. It's everywhere. It smells gorgeous, mixing with them bluebells. But my point is, it's fantastic, and the Lily of the Valley is definitely the star of the show. It's just so beautiful, and in amongst, like I say, it's all big opulence and big, and it's one you can smell really well, like Chanel No. 5. But what it is about it is that Lily of the Valley gives it kind of a delicate touch in there, a clean kind of elegance. So yeah, not waffling on. That's what's it called for Lily of the Valley, Goldman from Amouage. Next on the list is one I don't really talk about. The note I'm not overly familiar with, but I have smelt it in things, and we do get it growing around here. I might bump into some, I might not. That's hawthorn. Now hawthorn is kind of, to me, it's kind of indolic is probably a good word for it, but it's kind of green and a little bit sharp in the wild. In fragrance, it kind of, you notice it kind of doing the same thing. I wouldn't say, I'd say it's like a kind of bitter version of honeysuckle, to me anyway. I wouldn't say it's not as sweet and delicate as honeysuckle, but it's got that kind of thing about it, to me anyway. These are my interpretations. So what I've gone for that is Kilian's Killing Me Softly, which is a fragrance, again, I ain't spoke about a lot. And this is from the Russian collection. Now it smells, it's really hard to describe this. What do I mean it smells very Russian? Well, it's not quite got that French feel about it, if you get what I mean. It's lychee, rose, blackcurrant. I think there's some other florals in there, and also the hawthorn's in there. Now it smells, I always associate, it's weird, isn't it? I associate lychee with these more Russian kind of smelling ones, because there's been a few I've tried from that part of the world, and they all have this kind of lychee, which is kind of, how would you describe it, watery, fizzy, a little bit sweet. And there's aldehydes in this also, which adds to that kind of airy kind of bubbliness about it. I don't know how to describe it. And then there's patchouli in there, and then the hawthorn, I think to me just adds this, I don't know if it is the hawthorn, but there is a kind of greenness in there obviously, but also a sort of how would you describe it, like a little bit of a naughty wink, but more on the indolic side, but not as dirty as that. It just has a purr. It's not overly, you know, it's not vomity, sweaty, pissy, overly. There is a little bit of a pissiness in this fragrance. It's because it's a kind of vintage thing, but it's got that just kind of purr about it. But there's something a bit naughty. And the blackcurrant sort of really stands out as well, and that's probably adding to that kind of pissy tone. It's really nice, it's really interesting, and it's really unique and different. These bluebells smell absolutely insanely gorgeous, by the way. But yeah, it's just magnificent. And again, it's not one I wear a lot because I don't know, I'm just not used to it yet. I've got 3 of the Russian ones, I think, and yeah. So for hawthorn is Killing Me Softly from Kilian. Next up is Tulip. Now personally I'd associate Tulip with much earlier spring, but they do pop up now and again. I think because it's getting warmer, as we all know, I think they maybe arise a bit soon. So there's Tulip, which are just beautiful pretty flowers, which basically the epitome of capitalism, aren't they? Where we all know the story of the Dutch tulips, don't we, where the value increased and increased, and they kept selling them and increased and increased. Listen to this perfume world. And then the people were growing them everywhere to make a quick buck, and then all of a sudden, boom, smash, the value fell out of them, and there's a lot of tulips and stuff, and the stock market crashed, and you know, all of this jazz. So yeah, capitalism, it can happen. So for tulip fragrances, I don't really think they have much of a smell in real life. It's probably more of a fancy note, isn't it? Is a black tulip from Shay and Bleue. This one was a birthday gift actually from Lizzie Rose and Jones last year. What does it smell like? Well, basically I think the tulip comes from the plum, and there's a kind of white chocolatiness in there. There's a little bit of spice, and I think there's kind of this pink powderiness. This is the cyclamen, or however you say that, and I suppose it does create this kind of fancy idea of a tulip. I think there's also snowdrops in it, which again don't have really much of a smell, but it's very much, you know, the kind of spring. It's going through the journey of spring, and the plum is the main thing, but it does give this impression in your head of kind of a black tulip that would be all sweet and fragrant and lovely. Tulips are absolutely lovely. What I love about tulips, again, this will have come from back in them days, is there's a rainbow of them, isn't there? They're all different colours and they all grow reds, yellows, purples, blacks, like say, and they are just really pretty little flowers, aren't they? But also very delicate, so they kind of go. And this fragrance just gives you that idea of a tulip, and that's all there is really is to say about it. So that's Shay and Blue's black tulip, and this one is one that sits in the very affordable range. Look at them, they're so pretty. You can see why I love them. But yes, anyway. Next up is one of my favourite spring flowers that come through, and that's lilac. Now lilacs here, they kind of generally May or towards the end of May, early June, they really start to boom through as it gets warmer. And we've all smelt lilacs. Lilacs are not just lilac colour, they can be pink, aren't they, as well? But they basically just very nectary and very big and very strong and syrupy, and they're just a lovely, lovely flower. Now I have quite a few lilac perfumes, but what I've gone for with this one is actually more of a natural one, and that's from Aromatics, and it's Purple Rain, that's it. Now obviously, as you can tell, this smells very purple, and there are a lot of like purpley notes in it. There's wisteria, lilac, violet. There is some other, but whatever, you get the idea. And it just smells really, really purple and green, and it's got this kind of a little bit of kind of fresh, sharp, not sharp as in it's bitter, it's just got, you know, a lovely freshness. It's like walking out on a spring day into kind of spring flowers and stuff like that. And that purple aura is really, really calming and lovely. And I think some of the kind of more syrupy sweetness and the kind of deliciousness of it, if you like, is the lilac. And the lilac, I don't know what it is about it. It's just, again, it's one of these perfume notes that's kind of gone out of fashion a bit, which is a shame, isn't it? But it's just so nostalgic and huggy and reassuring, despite its big sweetness and its kind of boldness. I mean, again, I'm gonna keep talking about these bluebells forever. If you could smell in the air how good these smell, different to lilac and wisteria and hyacinth, but very, very So yes, anyway, I'll keep waffling on about that. So for lilac, I just went for a fresh one, and that's Purple Rain from Aromatics. Next up, we may as well stick with the colours, is wisteria, which is beautifully blue, isn't it? And it's a climbing plant, isn't it? I'm sure there's lots of myths and stuff about this. I didn't look it up, I've no idea. I do know what it is. It does grow in the UK. It's probably not native to the UK, but you know, it does its job. And it smells blue and purple, if you get what I mean. Like, it's not as strong as lilac. I'd say wisteria to me is more greenish. It's less sweet. Not like bluebells and hyacinths, not quite like that, but it's got its own smell. Would I be able to pick it out if I didn't know it was in a perfume? Probably not. So what I've gone for with that is Chloe's Love, which is an unusual fragrance in the fact that it is a very purpley one. It almost smells like a rose violet, but not quite. A rose violet iris. Now there is iris in there. Don't think there's violet. I think all the purple comes from the lilac and the wisteria and the other bluer notes in there. And it gives this kind of beautiful sweetness to it. But there's also in there's a kind of a greener touch, a sharper touch in there, which makes it work. I'm not sure what all the listed notes are, who cares? But it's this very almost makeup-y, but not quite like makeup in the wild, if you get what I mean. Like you've been rolling about in a forest on a, you know, on a green day and a sunny day and stuff, and you've got that little bit of kind of lovely sweetness of the green in there, as well as all this kind of powdery, lovely, intoxicating touch to it. I think it's also got rice, which adds this dryness. It's a really... Why this was discontinued is beyond... I have no idea. Maybe it was too expensive to make, or they couldn't get a note or something. Chloe make fairly alright fragrances. They used to make alright fragrances. I just don't understand why this was discontinued. It is a makeup-y one, but like I say, like a natural, fresh, outdoorsy makeup one. And why they got rid of it is just a complete, utter mystery. It's gorgeous. So that's from Chloe is Love for Wisteria. Sticking with the old blues. Next is Iris. Or Orris. Now Iris doesn't actually have a smell, does it? It's the root. And then the iris flower kind of fancy smell we get is more to do with violet, I think. But it's lovely nonetheless. The iris Orris is more of a kind of chalky potato, isn't it? It's the texture that you smell it. I think it's the texture about it. That's the makeup-y side of it, sometimes a bit waxy and kind of dry and powdery and all of that. Anyway, we all know what iris / Orris is, but we're talking about iris here. And the one I've gone for is from Maison, and that's Nuèe Bleue, which originally started off as a soap back in the 1920s, I believe. I believe that's what the original house used to make. And obviously Maison made it into a wonderful perfume. Now, excuse me, sorry for that pause. Now, yes, it is kind of soapy, and the Orris kind of has a bit of adds the sweetness to it, and it's citrus. It's very, very, very classy and very, very elegant. It does lean a little bit like Dior, but this is more about the citrus and the cleanness and the soapiness. It's not a soapy soap. It's not thick and rich like that. It's just this kind of beautiful, clean smell from the iris. So it's that kind of more waxy kind of feel in it. There's other notes in there. There's obviously woods, there's musks and all of that. But it is predominantly like this citrusy iris, which just smells like very white shirt, you know. Hello, I'm from the south of France. Very classy, you know. He's got his white shirt on, his little French beard, you know, and all that stuff, his little beret. And it does smell French, but it smells so elegant, so sophisticated, so clean and classy. It's one of them that you could wear anytime, any place, anywhere, dressed up kind of thing. It's absolutely beautiful. So that is a Nuèe Bleue from Maison. Next we're moving into other colours. We'll start with Peony, or Peony as some people say it. But the Peony is not a note I generally love. They are such pretty flowers though, I'll give them that. And they're generally used in conjunction with a rose, aren't they? This one is also. They're just very pretty flowers. I think they've got some sort of symbolic meaning behind them. I can't remember. Go watch Dr. Claire's video on flowers for more information about them. But they're just pretty rose-like flowers, aren't they? Sadly, in fragrance generally, they can go quite shampoo-y for me. Quite creamy, shampoo-y kind of thing. And I don't particularly love that. But this one is from One Way Bridge, and it's called Peony Pageantry. And this is ultimately, it's a musky, rosy peony, and that's it. It's not an overly complicated fragrance. It's just these beautiful, like, fresh peonies, not like fragrance peonies, like proper fresh peonies with a little bit of rose there, and this gorgeous muskiness about it. It's just lovely. It smells very pink with hints of red. It's got a grainy kind of texture. It's really, really lovely. And that's it really. It's nothing more. It's just this bright, musky, pink kind of fragrance. There's a little bit of a kind of clean feel about it. Maybe there's something like Lily of the Valley or some aldehydes in there, something like that. Just gives you this kind of clean thing. It has elements of creaminess about it, but then that kind of fades off and you're just left with this musky peony rose, and it's absolutely lovely. I don't need to talk endlessly about it. So for Peony, it is One Way Bridge's Peony Pageantry. Next is it's another absolutely iconic note. They do bloom in May. I think it's the biggest blooming season for them, although they exist all through the year really, bar winter. Is a rose. Now I've got millions and millions of rose fragrances, and we all know what a rose is, symbol of love and all this jazz. Come in all different shapes, sizes, colours, smells. Some are fresh, some are full-bodied, some are pink and sweet, some are powdery, some are rich and lovely. You know, they can be quite edible as well. We know what a rose is. So what I've gone for is off the kind of beaten track a bit with it. Is Gris Dior from Dior. And the reason I've gone for this is it's because it's spring and it fits with that kind of May idea. It's like rose petals and patchouli and all that kind of thing flowing down this lovely calm river. It just has this kind of watery kind of smell about it, and it's very ozonic. It's very, what's the word, kind of taking a breath of fresh air. It's not overly strong or in your face, and it's the musks and the patchouli that give it the texture, that give it this kind of lift. It's magnificent. Yeah, so it's a kind of fresh, watery, calm, by the river kind of rose with its lovely grainy texture and heavenly feel about it. It's magnificent. So that's from Dior, and that's Gris Dior for rose. And finally, not really a Mayflower, but I'm chucking it in because I got it for a birthday present, and that's Lily. Now again, Lily is sadly used too little in fragrance, isn't it, nowadays? Lilies are they're very heady, and real lilies, yeah, they can take over your entire house and the entire street. They're so potent, that kind of spicy, lovely sweetness, a little bit naughty kind of feeling can completely overwhelm and take over, can't it? And what I've gone for Lily is really obvious. It's a fragrance I've wanted for so long, and I got it off Dr. Claire. Is a Baiser Volè from Cartier. And basically, it's just Lily. There's other stuff in there. It's got the kind of greenness about it. It's got that kind of white floral feel. It's got the spiciness about it. It's got this kind of creamy loveliness. It's musky. It's just the perfect lily. It does smell, obviously, like a lily, and that's all I really need to say, as this is a kind of honourable mention at the end. So for Lily, which are beautiful flowers by the way, although they symbolise death in my country, I love them. So for Lily is Baiser Volè from Cartier. And that's it. Video's ended. We've had a little woodland walk through all the bluebells and wild garlic and flowers and stuff. Just as I say, I like May. Is it just because it's my birthday? I don't know. I think it is. It's a good month, isn't it? It's not too hot. It's not too cold. All the beautiful flowers come through. Jolly. And it's great. So what about you? What flowers and floral fragrances are you wearing this month? Do you have a particular favourite flower that blooms in May where you're from? We've had tiare or other things, couldn't we, which obviously don't bloom here. That's it. Thanks folks. Bye.